Hello and welcome to Code Next Door. My name is Andre, and today we'll be talking about for comprehension in Elixir. For comprehension has actually been around since the beginning of the Elixir programming language, but often I find myself reaching for the enum module. So take for instance, we have a list with elements from 1 through 10, like so. If we want to add 10 to each element in the list, we would most likely, at least me personally, use enum.map just to add 10 to each element. So we'll get a list with 11 all the way through 20. Quite simple. But you can also do that with the for comprehension. So what we see here is we have for and then this syntax, which is identical to what we have in the with statement in Elixir, which is a generator, which is just generating everything that needs to be used inside of the comprehension. So we have a number plus 10, and then we have this identical results, 11 all the way through 20. Pretty simple example. Well, you can also filter with the for comprehension. Most times you'll leverage the enum.filter function. Here we have the same list, and we are making sure that everything is divisible by 2, which we're using the remainder function, passing in each element x, and verifying that x divided by 2 gets a remainder of 0. If we were to run this, we get 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. It makes sense. But you can also do that inside of the for comprehension. So we have a generator x, which is generating all the values that are needed, and we're checking that the remainder of x divided x of 2 is equal to 0. And we just do x, which is what we'll get is the exact same results: 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Another thing, you can take it even a step further. You can use guards. So we have for x when x is an integer, and then we have a list, but you'll see something a little bit different. We have a string 1 inside a list and a string 2. And we're just printing out x. So what will happen now? Well, you would think that since 1 is not an integer and 2 is not an integer, they won't be in the list. And that is correct because we're using this guard to basically filter, kind of to do the same thing we did above, is filter out what should not be inside of the list after the comprehension is done. Another thing is pattern matching. We have a list with an OK tuple, an error tuple, and 2 more OK tuples. So we have our generator here, but we're pattern matching on the first element of the tuple here, OK, and the value. And we're just going to be getting the values back from each element here. So we have 1, 3, and 4. It's kind of another filter out mechanism of the for comprehension, and we are not getting boom because when we pattern match, we're only getting the values that have OK. Next step, maps. So we have another generator here, but we're also using the guard. So we're getting the key and the value of each element inside the map, and we have Mike 100, Jason 200, and Tom 200. And we're getting back only the keys. So what we get here, we're actually going to get back a list, of just Jason and Tom, which were the keys for when the value was 200. So what about this into option? Well, into allows us to convert the comprehension into a different data structure. What you've been seeing so far has all been lists. So we have 4, see, inside this binary, and we're going to be generating a string with the for comprehension from this list. And we get back ghost. Another example here, we're going to be taking this keyword list of payments, and we're using into, and we're converting into a map. And here we're going to be converting the keys to string keys instead of atom keys and keeping the values. And what do we get back? We get back a map with all the payments as keys. And if we were to take out toString, what would happen? Well, if we were to take out toString, we would get back a map with atom keys instead of string keys. Another option you have is using the unique. If you have a list of elements that have duplicates and you want to get only the distinct or the unique elements inside the list, you'd run enum.unique. Pretty simple, but here you can also do that inside of the for comprehension. So without unique true, we get the duplicates. If we were just to add the unique true option, we'd no longer see duplicates. We don't see duplicate 1, and you don't see duplicates of 7 anymore. Everything is unique inside the list. Next, you have an option to do reductions. Enum.reduce is what we usually use. So here we're taking each element inside of the list and multiplying them by one another. So 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 times 4 is 24, which is the result we get back. But in this instance, we can do that inside of a for comprehension as well. So we have our generator here, x 1 2 3 4 as the list, and reduce is set to 1. That's how we're going to start our accumulator. And why do we start with 1? Is because we're doing multiplication. So if we were to start reduce with 0, well, 0 times 1 is 0. But in this instance, since we're doing multiplication, we set it to 1, and we get back 24 as a result of using reduce with the for comprehension. Another thing we can do is have multiple generators. So in this instance, we have a generator for I for this range and a generator J for this list. And what are we going to be doing? Well, just multiplying I by J. So all the values will multiply by one another here, and we'll get back a list. So 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 10, 10, 15, 20. Then we start back at the top. I is now 2, so 2 times 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, and then 3, 15, 30, 45, and 60. So let's put it all together now. So here we have a list of elements -1, -2, and 5. Then we have a second list of strings. Let me okay, here. So now let's put it all together. So here we have a list of elements -1, -2, and 5. We have a second list of elements, the string A, the string B, C, B again, C again, and D. And now inside of for comprehension, we have two generators here. One where I has to be greater than 0 for the first list, and J when J does not equal C for the second list. We also have unique set to true. And we're going to be getting the J and the I together inside of a tuple. Well, if we're to run this, we get back only 3 elements of the list. We get A5, B5, and D5. And that's because we have our guard here where I has to be greater than 0, so this won't happen and this won't happen. So only 5 will happen for the first generator. And we have a unique true, so B cannot be duplicated. And we have also another guard where C won't be generated as well. So only A, a single instance of B, and D will be put in a tuple with 5 as the value. Thank you for watching, and hope you enjoyed this video on for comprehensions in Elixir.